Hello and welcome. Cute. Look at my cool pot. So I'm just gonna do a light, fresh, easy, everyday makeup. It's gonna be pinky tones because I think it suits me and people with green eyes or brown eyes. Anything you want to bring out the whites of your eyes with. Pinky, rosy, pretty simple makeup. I think it suits pretty much everyone, and a lot of the products that I use in here are clean brands. Only maybe like 2 or 3 aren't, and you can also just substitute them for things that you like to use. Really hope that you guys like some of the tricks in here. I have one for brow gel that I love, and I hope that you guys end up loving it too, because I haven't heard anyone talk about it, and I feel like it's my secret and I need to share it with the world. And a couple other tricks that I like to do that I haven't heard other people talk about. That being said, I'm gonna start the video here, and I hope you guys like it and enjoy. If you can hear my dog breathing the whole time, or I sound like a boy, sorry. Enjoy. Subscribe if you feel like it. Let's get going. Like closer to y'all. People in that little screen there. I feel like I want to be even closer. First things first, rose water. I always keep mine in glass because we all know that plastic is secretly horrible. One trick that I like that my sister and I both realized we did is the pinch and twist. I like press mine forward a little bit. It's just an easy thing to do when your brows are like crazy but like you don't have makeup at the beach or something like that. Anyways, first things first, moisture. This is the TULA 24/7 moisturizer. I actually discovered them via searching, not via social media, which is kind of crazy these days. But I really wanted like a natural skincare brand that was good, and I wanted to try something new. And now that they're sort of getting a little more popular on social media, I'm really happy for them just because big fan for a while. So then I will use their primer, which is a really cool primer because it comes out white and liquidy, but it does this cool thing where it sort of gives you like a tint. You can kind of see it. And I love this because it sort of gives me a little color, and if I'm having a particularly good skin day, unlike today, then it is really awesome just underneath sunscreen. And it says that you're supposed to use it underneath your makeup and stuff, so I use it under sunscreen to sort of keep my sunscreen in place for as long as possible, because I don't always have time or the means to reapply sunscreen, and it's really hard to do that when you have a full face of makeup on. Someone needs to invent like a spray that you can put on top of your makeup that is sunscreen. Maybe it already exists, I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and claim the rights to that idea though, so someone do that. Oh, my eyebrows are already out of place. Let me do the pinch and twist again. Okay, so next I use sunscreen. This is Paula's Choice. I love this brand. It is clean, it is awesome. This is the Ultra Sheer Daily Defense. It's SPF 30, and it also has antioxidants in it, which is great, but I like it because it doesn't give you a white cast and it doesn't make me break out. It is so hard to find a sunscreen that is like this, and it's not thick and goopy. It comes out really liquidy actually. You can kind of tell. Yeah, it's like not your typical sunscreen. However, it does smell quite a lot like sunscreen, and I just sort of pat it everywhere so I don't move everything around that I just put on underneath. I have a feeling that any moment my dog is gonna demand entrance into this room because he finished his treat. Good padded layer of sunscreen, so it's kind of everywhere and I'm not like mixing it together with everything underneath, so I know I'm getting a good full coverage of sun protection. Okay, so I will also put some of the Bite Beauty lip mask. A little goes a long way with this product. Also a clean brand at Sephora. Now that that's taken care of, I'm going to move on to my base. So if I'm having a good skin day, I'll just go right into concealer. But right now is not a good time for my skin because I've been eating a lot of sugar. But I'm gonna go in with the Complexion Rescue by Bare Minerals in the shade Vanilla 2. And I sort of, I am running low. Yeah. I will rub this between my fingers and pat everywhere and sort of continue patting because I also don't want to move that sunscreen. So I typically use my hands just because it's fast, and then I'll use a sponge to blend it out at the end. Sometimes I'll use a sponge if I'm using foundation, but that's not something that I wear every day or for like a simple fresh look. It's more of an occasion thing for me. I'm excited because I think I'm gonna order ILIA's foundation soon, and I really hope it's amazing because their concealer and their highlighter are amazing, and they're a really cool, clean brand. Hold on. One moment. Yeah, you're in my spot. So basically, I put that on with my hands and then blend it with a sponge to make sure I don't move around the sunscreen that's underneath. And I'd say she's looking pretty good. You don't get a ton of coverage with this. It's more of just like a more even tone, which is really all I want for a simple look like this. Excuse me, can you please lay down? Good boy, stay. Okay, so after using the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue, I will go in with concealer. I use ILIA. I love the brand ILIA. They're a clean brand. I really feel like at this point, with how many makeup products there is like no excuse for anyone to not be making clean beauty. If one company can do it, that means it's possible. So everyone else needs to hop on this bandwagon, right? I just feel like we should be able to choose what we want to wear based off of how cute it is and the packaging, instead of worrying about what toxic chemicals are in it. This is in the shade Arrowroot, and I will dot this over all of my blemishes, and I use this under my eyes as well. It's such a nice light texture. Like, it doesn't feel super thick and goopy. And it blends really well. However, to get a really juicy boy, you need to sort of let it dry first. I'm sorry if you can hear Cosmo's jingling. But yeah, you just need to let it dry first a little bit, and it will cover well. But when it's fully wet, it can move around really easily. I'm so glad that clean beauty is really starting to make its entrance, because I think, you know, we humans are smart and we totally have the capability of making makeup that doesn't have a bunch of weird gross stuff in it, or stuff that's bad for the planet or bad for animals. Like, I'm all for the cruelty-free vegan products, but I just don't think that that's enough. Like whenever I went into Ulta, I asked the lady about like if there were any new clean brands, and she like didn't really know what I was talking about, which was pretty weird just in and of itself. But when she finally started to get the hang of what I was talking about, she just sort of thought that I only meant like cruelty-free or vegan. We know that ILIA has mastered this concealer. It is so good. No one should have to choose between clean products and products that they think are cute and fun. So I mainly keep my concealer right in the dark spot right there, just because a big sweeping motion just doesn't look good on me. And I feel like this part of my skin is the one part of my face that I don't usually have problems with, and that I actually think looks quite nice. So I don't want to ruin it by caking on a bunch of concealer. It is toasty in here. Okay, we're stripping down. Again, I love ILIA as a brand. They're clean, they're great. They actually have got it right. So sometimes I can't get a full coverage when it's super wet, so I have to let things dry, or I'll come back in at the end on top of powder because it sort of meshes together really nicely, and then you can actually cover something that's particularly juicy or pigmented. But I'm just gonna leave that area for now and come back to it because I know that it will all be okay. It will all be okay. After concealer, I will take another clean beauty brand, Tata Harper. This is the lip and cheek tint in the shade Very Naughty. Now, this brand is expensive, okay? However, this was like $35, I wanna say, which is expensive for this. However, it has lasted me years. It still smells like kind of fresh and natural, and it's a clean brand, and I feel like you're getting a good bang for your buck, even though you're kind of like, oof, that's a little high. And then I will put it pretty high on my cheek to give myself a shape because I don't really have super prominent cheekbones. So I will put it up here and blend with a clean finger. And I sort of do it in like a triangle zone because if your face is more on the flat side like mine, you'll find that keeping it high and in this shape sort of is more believable. I feel like doing good blush and good highlight with a light contour is more believable for shaping your face than a heavy contour. I just love how this blends. It's so natural. I definitely go a little heavier when I first put it on because it doesn't last all day. However, I always layer my makeup with powders. So again, it's all just gonna work out. It's gonna be okay, okay? So just kind of keeping that flushed sort of triangle zone. Oh yeah. Then I will take a little bit on my finger again and put some in the crease of my eye and just sort of blend. And I like doing this because it's a little, you know, it's a cream product, so it creates a good base to stick more product on in a minute. But I really like using pink on my eyelids because I really feel like it brings out the whites of your eyes. But also my eyes are green, but they're not like green. So back in the day, back in the OG YouTube days, I remember I used to Google makeup for green eyes, and all of the looks were like these insane purple eyeshadow looks because purple is like the opposite color on the color wheel as green, which is all fine and dandy, but it's just not very wearable, and especially not for every day. So I remember thinking, like, what else can I use that's like pretty much the opposite of green, like in the red family, that would do the same trick. And I've never really liked reds or pinks, and I never wanted to wear them on my skin because I've always had acne prone skin. But I've actually discovered in the past year that trying pink on my eyelids and pink on my skin actually makes the rest of my skin look more yellow, and it brings out the whites of my eyes and my teeth, I feel like. So basically, it's a little counterintuitive, but using more pink is actually better for me, and I feel like it suits my skin tone and my hair. And I ended up loving it, and I never ever in a million years thought that I would be a pink eyeshadow girl, but I really feel like it's one of those things that works on a lot of skin tones, especially on the paler side. But really anything warm, even going into the darker skin tones, anything warm will really bring out the whites of your eyes and just kind of contrast the green if you have green eyes. So after I get a little bit of these pink tones, I will take my ILIA again. This is their highlighter in the shade Polka Dots and Moonbeams. How cute is that? And it opens like this. I always take it on my finger. Now this is a natural product, so again, it's clean, but it's pretty subtle. However, one of the pros of this one in particular is that it's buildable. So the more you put on, the more blingy it gets. And of course you can layer on a more flashy powder product on top, which is usually what I do just to sort of lock everything in. Unless I'm going for a really easy natural day. And I keep this quite high as well. It's just more believable. Now it almost looks like I have a cheek. You can see this shape is starting to form. And my face, I mean my profile, look at my cheekbone here. You can tell I don't really have super prominent cheekbones, but from this angle, I've created this illusion of having a cheek quite high and quite smiley without doing any contour yet. For nose highlight, I sort of do like a triangle with the tip cut off. So I do like flat and then the diagonal and the diagonal. And some right here just because I think it's cute. I don't tend to do my Cupid's bow just because my lips are quite heart-shaped. I sort of keep it in 2 dots very lightly. I can't just pat my Cupid's bow because it just doesn't work. It just looks like a dot of white, or it looks like I'm sweating or something else delicious and attractive. And I put it on underneath because it sort of blends in with my lip products later and is more believable again and all that jazz. Okay, I'm going to start sort of powdering things down a little bit to sort of set it. The next product that I'm going to use to set is going to be Honest Beauty's powder. This brand is so amazing because it is a clean brand. It's Jessica Alba's brand. I love it. I'm sort of starting to hear people talk about it more, which really excites me because I want to vote with my dollars for these kinds of brands, and I'm so glad that other people are getting on board. But the reason I really think Honest is great is it's kind of like a drugstore clean beauty brand. I feel like you shouldn't have to have a lot of money in order to get clean beauty. I think it should be an option for everyone, and I think that if this ever ends up in the drugstore, we will have reached a new level in society. It's actually so good. All of the products that I have, I love, genuinely. This one in particular has one of those lovely, like, trampoline things for your powder. It's a very light, translucent powder. It's awesome. It's very powdery. It sort of reminds me of, like, cornstarch, but, like, in the best way. And I love this brush because it's so soft. I don't have to worry about moving around any product when I blend because of how soft it is. I sort of just keep the powder everywhere where I have concealer and the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue, but not where I have highlight or blush, because I'm gonna set those with powder product. Next, I am going to take my Tarte blush. This is in the shade Exposed. Oh, stop, don't. Haley, you're disgusting. So it's this gorgeous brownie pinky color. I use this old Ulta brush. I'm pretty sure it's Ulta. But it's quite small, which I like because I have a smaller face. And I go like this. Little tap, tap, tap. And then I keep this right in the same place that I had put the Tata Harper. Even if you go on top of your highlight a little bit, it's okay. It's all gonna look super natural. Then I will take, this is Morphe M573. Yeah. And I will swirl that around and put that in the crease of my eye. Just sort of locking in the first product. I don't always do this because this is not a clean product, but I use so little of it that I'm not like super concerned about it, but it is the Too Faced highlight in Blinded by the Light. Little goes a long way, and I don't always use it, and I also kind of believe in using what you have. Like, I think if you want to make the transition to clean, or as clean as you can for like every day, I don't think you should just throw out all your makeup and like start over, because the truth is we need to stop being wasteful and we need to use what we have. So I still keep a lot of old products that I have that aren't super clean because I might want to use them for a special occasion, and wearing them one time isn't going to be a huge crisis. I would rather be in my possession and maybe get used a couple times a year than in a landfill somewhere. The number is rubbed off, but I'm sure you guys know what this is. So I will get quite a lot on it and then tap a lot off, and then go quite high again where I had the ILIA cream highlight. I do love a good highlight. I mean, wow. I do have a lot of good natural light coming in from this side, but it is so good. And I look like I have cheeks. I have this dimension, so it's an illusion. We're creating an illusion. Both of my sister's cheekbones came in quite late. We all had very, very similar face shapes. And then around like 24, 25, 26, out of nowhere, they both got these massive sculpted cheekbones. And I am 23, just turned 23. So I'm very much hoping that one day soon, it will happen for me. So next, I don't always do this step because sometimes I like to keep a matte eyeshadow because my skin can be kind of textured and I just feel like my eyelid skin is quite nice and I want to showcase it. But sometimes I do like to do a little sparkle to sort of match the whole sparkly, pretty simple daytime vibe. And so I will use this Bare Minerals eyeshadow in the shade Queen Phyllis. This is another Sonia Kashuk brush. And sometimes I'll just put it in the inner corner, other times I'll sweep it across the lid. I think right now, since my skin is not doing so hot, I'm gonna just keep it in the inner corner. I keep randomly having to burp. I promise I'm not gross. I just always have to burp when I'm talking. Does anybody else have that? Next, I am going to do brows. I have yet to find a good clean product for brows. This is one of the few products in here I'm gonna use that's not clean. I don't really like a ton of CoverGirl products, but I have to say their brow pencil is actually very good. This is in the shade Soft Brown, pretty sure. Yeah. And I really actually quite like it. Any other brow product tends to make your brows look fuzzy or like blurry. It just doesn't look believable. It just looks like you have a blurry eyebrow. I don't vibe with it. I like being able to tell that it's brow hairs. So I always do this thing to help me get my shape where I frown. And I do the block part of my brow first. And I go downwards to get a nice square shape without it being too crazy looking. And then I blend with a spoolie. And then any gaps I have are always towards the end and my arch area. I always fix my arch and then make an extension of my brow to sort of keep in line with that highlight blush motion. And I don't usually contour regularly, but sometimes I do if I'm gonna take pictures or feeling special. So I'll show you guys that after this. I just feel like extending my brow longer makes my face more 3D since my face tends to get quite flat, and I feel like maintaining that 3D upwards and outwards vibe creates shape to my face without only relying on contour. So then I'll go backwards through my brows like this if I want them to be a little darker. Sometimes when I finish my brows they tend to look quite harsh, but when I get everything else on, it will come together nicely. And because my face is quite round and quite flat, as I've mentioned probably way too many times, it sort of gives my face a little bit more angle and shape, so it will be good. Before I show you guys the contour that I mentioned, I'm gonna share with you a super awesome tip, best tip on the internet, hopefully. So I cannot find a good clean brow gel that isn't $30 or more. So I have discovered this on my own because I've been doing research trying to figure out something that I can use that's clean and natural and affordable. And I sort of discovered that a good cheap alternative to brow gel is actually aloe vera gel. And if you think about it, it makes sense because it dries kind of sticky and weird, but then it gets kind of crunchy after. And a whole bottle, you can get a good organic bottle from probably $5 to $10, and it will last you for literal years. I have this little tube that my sister gave me because she does eyelashes for a living, and I just squirt some in there, and then I have this little spoolie that came with the tube. And if you think about it, you can spend like anywhere from $5 to $30 on brow gel products that are just the tube, but an entire bottle of aloe vera gel is like $10. So this is my new holy grail trick. I love it. It actually works. When it dries, your brows feel crunchy, but like you don't feel like you have some weird chemicals and glue in your eyebrows from it because it's natural. So you're welcome. I will take a little bit off and sort of go upwards and then diagonally towards my arch and then sort of clean the end. Okay, so back to the contour that I mentioned earlier that I wanted to share. So to keep in line with this extended brow, highlight, blush, kind of creating a shape sort of vibe, I'm going to mix the cooler shade and the bronzier shade from this Too Faced Cocoa Contour Palette. This is another product that is not clean. I haven't really gotten around to trying a clean contour just because I don't really use it that much. So I will keep the contour to keep it believable for a flatter face really far back and really high. So depending on your cheekbone. So a lot of people always say this formula of find your cheek, find the hollow of your face, you know, and go there. But for me, if I did that, my contour would have to be all the way down here. So the space above it is quite large and the space below it is pretty small, and I just feel like it'll really drag my face down and it will point sort of towards my mouth and my laugh lines in an area of my face that I'm not super into. I want to keep things high and open. So instead of doing it all the way down here, my cheekbone is here, and where it starts to curve downwards is where I will put the contour. And I keep it as far back in my hairline as I can. And I blend it forward from the hairline because keeping it in your hairline is making it look like an actual shadow. And I know that there are still some spots here. Again, I'm gonna come back to those at the end. It's just easier once you have contour and blush and everything to sort of revisit those. I'm sure a lot of you guys who have problematic skin understand what I'm saying. So you can see from the front, I have this contour now that this side doesn't have, and it's already so effective without doing this huge dragging line. And I'll take a cleaner brush and just sort of make it not look crazy. And then go into the other side. I keep it high, but I guess I do blend it downwards a little bit, but the main part is up here. And then back in with that clean brush, do a little blending. So now I've got this shape that's continuing and the contour sort of follows it. And we're all happy and everything's great. I want to talk about another Honest Beauty product. This is the mascara and primer duo. Again, this is a great clean brand, very drugstore-esque. I think this duo was like $15 on Amazon. I have always loved Maybelline's mascara. I could never bring myself to spend any more. The formula was the best, and it was like pretty much the easiest to get off, but this is like almost identical, and I don't know how they did it. You gonna help me do my makeups? But the one thing that I will say is that it comes off way easier. If you are a waterproof lover, do not recommend this. Hopefully they can come out with something that will work waterproof wise. But if you just like to get your makeup off easy and you don't like to have this raccoon thing from mascara, then this is definitely for you. Such a good brand. Oh, it's clean and they don't make you have to spend $1 million. I love it. Okay, so first in with the primer, which is quite good, actually. I've never really used primers. I think they're a little extra. It's kind of like white. Okay, so next in with the mascara side. I like the wand because it is small enough to get in to the wiggling motion, but it's not too small because I'm not crazy about those kinds of wands either. But I always start at the roots and wiggle for quite a while. Really build up the product and then start to blink. Get a little closer. Like, I am obsessed. Okay, so I never put mascara on the bottom because my bottom eyelashes are quite long, and if I put mascara on the bottom, I would just look insane. I would look like Spider-Woman or some shit like that. Can I say bad words? So I'll pinch off any that I get on the outer corners. So a trick for when you get mascara on your eyelid, the whole eyeshadow brush thing, like once it dries, doesn't work for me. If you're like sitting there and you're like, yeah, that does not work, I don't get it either, I have the answer for you. The spoolie side of your brow product works better, and you can wait for it to dry, but you don't really have to. Boom. Didn't even have to let it dry. Didn't even have to. Okay, next up is lips. So I don't always wear a lip liner. I've literally had this for like 20 centuries. It's probably expired, but I still use it. Mainly just because I don't really use lip liner that often. They are very, very heart-shaped, and my top lip is also quite small, and I definitely overdraw. For a while I did like the pixie one, so if I'm feeling like very rosy kind of girl, then I will keep that heart shape. But if I'm wanting to sort of have more of an effect, I go in with what I call my Pocahontas lip, which is where I just sort of bridge the gap. And then when you put your lipstick on and you just do the patting, blurs and blends and looks better somehow. The lips, I love this brand Kosas. Amazing. I don't know how they get the pigment that they do in these, because they are a fully clean brand, and the packaging is so sleek. I mean, yes, look at that. And it's magnetic. How fun is that? I am obsessed. This is the shade Rosewater. Such a gorgeous, natural, everyday shade. I just love this brand so much. I really want to try some of their glosses. I'm excited. The fun part, sometimes if I have a little bit of that lip product left, I'll just sort of add a little bit more to the lids. Really monochrome, awesome, yes. Pinky Rosy Fresh. Go back in with the ILIA concealer again and revisit some of those juicy boys. Sometimes I will even completely coat all of my blemishes, full cakey concealer, let it completely dry all the way, and then do foundation on top if I really, really need to cover. I don't know if anyone else does that. Sometimes I will take this MAC 217 and sort of go around the perimeter. This is something that I've actually always done, and the first time I ever saw Lisa Eldridge do it, I was like, go back in with my rose spray, because I'm obsessed. I've always been obsessed with roses. My dad always had roses growing over the shed, those really pretty light pink ones, and I've always loved them. So this is what we're working with here, guys. So my face doesn't look quite so flat anymore. I've got a little dimension, a little highlight, an extended brow. Nothing is totally perfectly covered. You can see I still have texture, but for an everyday thing and to be realistic and not do a full cake, it's fine. You know, people are gonna be focusing on your eyes, which you can see this pink really sort of highlights the green in my eyes. We've got a nice blurred lip. If you want a little more chisel here, my jaw is like decent. I don't think wearing contour here for me is very believable because as you can see, I'm very, very pale. If I want to chisel my face a little bit, I will just sort of do my chin area right at the front, because doing my full jaw just does not look realistic at all. So just a little right there. You can see the difference that already has made. And then I take what's left and drag it down. Since my neck is unbelievably pale, blend that chin area. But I just feel like doing a light contour, a good highlight and blush, these motions of bringing everything up and out will just make it more real. The other thing, if you are like going on a fancy date during the daytime and you want to look extra cute, or just you just want to look extra cute in general, Visine, always whiten up those eyes, girl. I need a napkin. I'm not a professional. Alright, good enough. Back in with the powders. That is it. I hope that you liked it. I hope that you liked my brow gel tip, my chin trick, extended brows, highlight and blush. Maybe some of the stuff will work out for you. I really want to share all of my little things that I do. I feel like I've been watching YouTube for years and I've always wanted to start making videos for forever, and I haven't seen people do all the little things that I do, so I was like, okay, it's time. I need to bring some stuff to the table. I hope you guys like this. Subscribe if you feel like it. Let's create a new community. Come. Come here, baby. Yeah, do your stretches. He's coming. Hi. Can you do a good sit? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're so good. This is my Baba. Fist bump. Good boy. Up. We're gonna go on a hike now. Yeah. Bye. Oh, by the way, this shirt is from Crochet Kids. Super awesome ethical brand. So this is my outfit of the day. Just a little messy half-up bun, thrifted flannel, and a Crochet Kids tank top with some linen joggers. And these are the squishiest, most amazing slides. They're from a brand called UFOS. I found them at REI. And they are actually amazing. Like, literally the softest thing I have ever worn on my feet. Are you trying to decide?